Hey everyone, welcome to NFL Nexus. So today we're taking a look at the LA Rams, but we're doing it through two totally different and honestly fascinating stories. First up, we've got a viral tweet about skydiving that, believe it or not, peels back the curtain on the surprisingly deep philosophy of their breakout star Puka Nacua. Then we pivot to a late career MVP award that has analysts asking this massive, almost unbelievable question. Is Matthew Stafford now a top 10 quarterback of all time? Yeah, it's a tale of the future and the past colliding in a really big way. So let's break it all down.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with Puka Nacua's huge viral moment, which, it started as just a simple reply on social media, but it ended up revealing this really cool mindset he has about what it means to truly live. After that, we'll shift gears to his quarterback, the one and only Matthew Stafford, whose new MVP award has just thrown gasoline on the fire of a debate that's been raging for a decade about his place in NFL history. And finally, we're going to connect those dots and try to figure out what this dynamic duo really tells us about the Rams' identity right now.
And believe it or not, it all started right here. This is a quote from actress Sweeney, and she was basically just describing her ideal partner. Someone adventurous, someone who could keep up with her. She's talking about climbing mountains and skydiving, but what she did completely inadvertently was set the stage for one of the NFL's most exciting young stars to make a very, very public move.
Yeah, so what we're really unpacking today are the two pillars holding up this Rams team. I mean, on one hand, you have the young, the explosive, the breakout star Puka Nacua, whose personality off the field is suddenly making just as many headlines as his record-breaking plays on the field. And then, on the other hand, you have the veteran champion, Matthew Stafford, whose long and, let's be honest, often debated career just got its most powerful piece of validation yet.
So you've got this fascinating contrast, right? With Nacua, it's all about that explosive future, it's about authenticity, and these captivating viral moments that kind of define what it means to be a modern athlete. But with Stafford, it's about a cemented legacy. It's about the weight of history and a career that is now being completely reevaluated. So first, let's dive into the story of the rising star and his pretty unique approach to life in the spotlight.
All right, let's start with Puka Nacua. I mean, the guy's coming off a rookie season that literally shattered records for receptions and receiving yards. It was insane. But his off-field personality has proven to be just as magnetic as his on-field play. And this viral moment we're about to dissect, well, it's the perfect example of that charisma in action.
Okay, so here's where it all begins. It kicked off with this public statement from actress Sweeney. She's describing her ideal partner, really emphasizing her adventurous side, and she's basically throwing down a gauntlet. She's saying, hey, I need someone who can keep up, someone who's willing to climb mountains and, crucially, jump out of planes. It was a call to action that, as you can probably imagine, did not go unnoticed online.
And boom, there it is, Puka Nacua's simple, two-word response on social media: love skydiving. It was concise, it was public, and man, was it perfectly timed. In the world of social media, this was basically the equivalent of a quarterback seeing his receiver break open deep downfield and deciding with zero hesitation to just let it fly and take the shot.
The reaction was immediate and absolutely massive. We're not just talking about a few fans noticing a fun interaction here. The entire sports and entertainment internet, it felt like, just collectively decided, yep, Puka's shooting his shot. The tweet just exploded. It became a huge talking point on shows, on timelines, everywhere. And really, it was definitive proof of just how big Puka Nacua's star had truly become.
But like any good social media story, there was a plot twist. After all that speculation went into complete overdrive, Sweeney clarified her original statement. She made it really clear that while, yeah, she's adventurous, she's also fully in control of her own life and isn't actively looking for a man to complete it. And this, very effectively and very publicly, shut down that whole narrative that had been building around Nacua's tweet.
But here's the thing. If you think that's where this story ends, you are way off. Because this wasn't just about some viral reply. Nacua's interest in skydiving goes so much deeper, and in a follow-up interview, he revealed this really fascinating piece of his personal philosophy. He turned a lighthearted social media moment into something much more profound about the mindset of a modern athlete.
So when he was asked about it later in an interview with Kay Adams, Nacua revealed his real motivation. And it wasn't about impressing anyone. For him, in a life that's increasingly scheduled, scrutinized, and, lived online, an extreme activity like skydiving is one of the rare chances to truly feel something real, a pure, unadulterated moment of sensation. It turns out he wanted that experience for himself, regardless of who he was with. And this right here just perfectly sums up his whole mindset. I mean, his desire for the experience is so genuine that he even offered to take the Rams coaching staff with him, suggesting a trip to Maui to make it happen.
Can you just imagine Sean McVay's face hearing that offer? So this whole thing transforms a simple tweet into a genuine look at what really drives him. It's a quest for authentic experiences that make him feel present and alive, far away from the pressures of the NFL. Okay, so that's one side of the coin, right? That's the youthful, experience-driven energy of the Rams' future. But now, let's pivot. Let's talk about its established, legendary leader. This next story, it's all about cementing a legacy that has been fiercely debated for well over a decade, and it might just change how we evaluate quarterbacks forever.
All right, and just before we jump into Matthew Stafford's historic achievement, a quick note. If you enjoy these detailed breakdowns, one really great way to support us here at NFL Nexus is by checking out our coloring books. Seriously, they're perfect for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, and yes, even for you. You can find the link right down in the description or just scan the QR code on your screen. We really appreciate the support. Okay, now let's talk MVP.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about the other pillar of this Los Angeles Rams team, quarterback Matthew Stafford. For 12 long seasons, he was the guy, right? The supremely talented quarterback stuck on a perpetually struggling Detroit Lions team. But his move to LA changed everything, and his career just took its most historic, legacy-defining turn yet.
At 37 years old. I mean, think about that. That's an age when most elite quarterbacks are either long retired or in a very steep, very visible decline. At 37, Matthew Stafford just won his very first NFL Most Valuable Player award. Now, this isn't just another trophy for the mantle. This is a fundamental, legacy-altering achievement that has completely reshaped the entire conversation around his place in football history.
And of course, an award that big is gonna cause some waves. And boy, did it ever. That MVP award immediately prompted former NFL safety and current analyst Ryan Clark to make this incredibly bold proclamation. He didn't just say Stafford is a Hall of Famer. No. He said he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, and, even more strikingly, a top 10 quarterback to ever play the game. I mean, that is not just high praise, that is putting him on the absolute Mount Rushmore of the position.
Okay, but let's be real. A claim that big, you can't just throw that out there without backing it up. It demands some serious scrutiny. So is it justified? Is Matthew Stafford, the guy who had one winning season in his first 7 years in the league, really, truly, one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks in the history of the sport? Let's break down the evidence that both supports and vehemently challenges this monumental assertion.
So a huge part of Ryan Clark's whole argument comes down to one word: context. He insists that our perception of Stafford's entire career was fundamentally warped by his time in Detroit. The argument is that the otherworldly arm talent, the toughness, the leadership, it was all there for 12 years. It just took a change of scenery, a Super Bowl caliber roster, and the bright lights of a championship run for his greatness to finally be undeniable to everyone.
And look, when you just look at the pure production, the numbers, well, they don't lie. As you can see, Stafford is already 6th all-time in passing yards and 7th in touchdowns. This isn't just good, this is historically elite territory. He is already ahead of Hall of Fame legends like Dan Marino and John Elway in both categories. By the time he decides to hang it up, he has a legitimate shot at cracking the top 5, putting him in the company of the most prolific passers to ever play this game.
But it's not just about the stats, right? You then stack the ultimate accolades on top of those incredible numbers. He's not just some stats compiler. He's a Super Bowl champion, and he led one of the most memorable game-winning drives in the history of the Super Bowl to do it. And now he's officially an NFL MVP, the league's highest individual honor. So when you combine this hardware with his top 10 statistical production, the case for a first-ballot Hall of Fame jacket becomes incredibly difficult to argue against.
Now, obviously, you can't put someone in the top 10 of all time without a massive debate. And while many people are now conceding the Hall of Fame case, that top 10 all-time claim, that's another level entirely. That's a sacred club. And this has drawn significant pushback, with many arguing that, look, while Stafford is great, he just isn't in that rarefied air of Tom Brady, Joe Montana, or Peyton Manning, the guys who truly defined eras of football. The debate is no longer about if he's great, but how great.
So when you kind of step back and look at these two stories side by side, you get a really clear and fascinating snapshot of the Rams' identity right now. On one side, you have Puka Nacua, the vibrant young star who represents the future, and he's driven by this search for pure, authentic experience. And on the other, you have Matthew Stafford, the veteran legend who just got the ultimate validation, cementing his place in NFL history.
And that really leaves us with this one big, fascinating question to think about. what does this potent combination of youthful, fearless energy and validated legendary leadership actually mean for the future of the Los Angeles Rams? With a rising superstar and a quarterback playing at an MVP level, are we witnessing the foundational pieces of the NFL's next potential dynasty?
So what do you think? We really want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know. Is Matthew Stafford a top 10 quarterback of all time, and are he and Puka Nacua the foundation of the NFL's next dynasty? If you enjoyed this breakdown, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And of course, be sure to subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives just like this one. Thanks for watching.